I quit my job yesterday. I have this sciatic nerve pain that I must have created for myself, and it's been very painful for the past 2 weeks. I've been driving, uh, and about 2 hours in, my lower back starts giving me a lot of pain. And I haven't been able to release that pain, so I asked for a medical leave, and they said that I have to see the doctor, and I don't want to see the doctor, so I'm basically, uh, I resigned yesterday. I'm also quitting my dream because I just don't believe that I have what it takes to take care of myself, let alone accomplish any, accomplish the dream of making films. I'm not a bad writer, but I haven't written anything in a while. I'm not a great writer, but I don't know how to make good work that is meaningful to people and can, you know, make a difference. So if I could just stick to writing stories, that might be a good thing, but I'm not doing that. I don't know, it's just why am I quitting my dream of making movies? I don't see myself putting any effort into it. I don't see myself moving into it. Like, I've always held this belief that if I give it my all, then I can do it. And I'm definitely not giving my all. I've always felt that, no matter what, don't give up, don't cave in to pressure. It will get better as you motivate yourself and actually apply yourself and do the work. I thought that at some point I would get into the swing of things and I would enjoy the work, but I'm just not taking the first step. I also believe that if you can imagine it, then you can accomplish it. And I can imagine the story and I can imagine different elements of the movie, but I can't imagine being a contributing force. Like, I don't believe that people want to see this kind of movie. The thing is that so many movies about God are cheesy. They just don't hold a standard that I would like to see in a film. So my whole idea was that I would try to make films that people could, you know, that weren't cheesy, basically, just not corny and but I thought that in order to do that, I would need to be a driving force. So be the director or producer. And I would also need a sizable amount of money. And I don't see myself uh, working with people the way that I need to work with people. When it comes down to it, if someone is nasty with me, if someone is nasty with someone else and I feel that it's necessary to confront that person, or if someone has to be let go, I don't feel that I can rise to the occasion. I think that that the production would be mired in my own inability to act. I would sulk when which is, just it's something that I do all the time. I would sulk when things got difficult. I would, I would give up and say, what's it all for? And, there's a difference between feeling your emotions and, even if I went on a tirade, that wouldn't be so bad if I could just let myself go on maybe not a tirade, but just rage. If I could just rage out and then, get to my deeper emotions of fear and sadness. And, if I could just do that, but I don't even see myself doing that. But, there's a difference between that and sulking, which is just holding on to it and maybe even denying it, denying the rage and the fear and the sadness. So I see myself doing a lot of that, and that would really cost the process. And I think, like, I would probably attract people into my life that are motivated by the project, and they would, um, and then there would be some major conflict, and I would attempt to address it. And, I might lose the original team that I had to start with, and that would be too devastating for me. Um, because when you're asking people for, I don't know if I'm asking people for money, but when you want to do a project, you have to have financial support, and I don't feel like I can garner the trust of people enough to give me money for this film. Um, and I can see why people wouldn't trust this film. I can see why people wouldn't trust me. That makes sense to me. Um, and through all of this, I've tried to be honest to some degree. I've tried to say that this is what I want to do, and I have my own doubts, but I have some shred of belief that it's possible. Um, I've tried to not give up. There have been times where in my heart I've given up, and then I've kind of worked through it, and then I have said I've looked at it a different way, and then I can move past something, and I start thinking about it again. I start planning. I start thinking about the story, and I'm kind of reinvigorated, you could say. And I don't know. At this point, there's so many. I have so many issues, and I quit my job, and I've just I have so many problems with God, so many problems with truth and love, and there's this guy on the internet that talks about the male sociosexual hierarchy, and I think it's somewhat relevant to mention it here because um, he says in the hierarchy there's alphas at the top, and then betas underneath them, deltas underneath betas, and underneath that are gammas. And I've been called out as a gamma. A gamma is someone who's typically overweight, won't go to the gym, someone that has a secret king fantasy where they receive the keys to the kingdom, they are put in a position of power and authority without any effort, without having taken responsibility or having a track record of achievement. And I and gammas are fundamentally dishonest. Now that was hard for me, and I don't necessarily believe in the sociosexual hierarchy as this man put it out, but I will admit that many of the attributes of this gamma that he says is true. The problem I have with the sociosexual hierarchy, it's a tangent, but basically that, we live in I believe, my belief system is that we live in a fallen world, and we all have chosen uh, to walk away from God, essentially. So these the even the hierarchies that we've created are fallen. Um, you can't say that alphas who sleep with a lot of different women and you know have this high status and you know step on people and um, go on power trips. You can't say that that is loving. And in much the same way, you can't say that, conniving, dishonest gammas are loving. Um, all of these, I don't know. I shouldn't have gone on this tangent, but I don't necessarily believe in the sociosexual hierarchy, but the gamma thing makes sense for me. The like in my vision for making my film, I would at some point tap into something deep inside of me where I decided to love the process, where I decided to love the work that I would inevitably engage myself in. And that never happened. But I thought if it could happen, then I'd be okay. But at this point, with so many things against me, and I can't blame anyone, it's only my own doing. At this point, I have to agree that I've been laboring under this secret king fantasy. And the hardest thing for me is that I've been dishonest because I've really tried to be honest, but I think that the honesty that the criticism of the gamma, or the honesty, or the criticism that gammas are honest, how that applies to myself is that I've been deluded about I don't know. That's hard to say because I believe that anyone can achieve what they want to achieve. I mean, it's just that we're so loaded with junk. We're so full of baggage and garbage. So I don't know what to say. I feel that I'm deluded, yet somehow I had the courage to believe. But, you know, because I doubt everything I say, I don't know which is right. I don't know. I'll just say this. When I got out of the Navy, I spent time with a friend at their house. They let me stay there, and um, at one point they said, you, if you want to stay here any longer, you have to pay. And, it makes sense. You know, I was asking that they would, let me be there for free. I had this expectation, which was unloving. Anyway, I said, I don't have any money right now, but why don't you let me advertise for your building? Because he needed rooms, he needed renters. So I said I would do that, and I started thinking of how I would do it, and putting flyers out and having people contact me and whatnot, and trying to get something organized. And I thought about it. I thought about placing flyers up, and honestly, the thing that stopped me is the fact that I think posting flyers is like posting up trash unless you take it some, unless you, if you staple something to like a telephone pole and then you don't take it off, you're littering. And so I thought of myself, where I would post things, and then I'd have to remember where I posted it and take it down like 2 months later or whatever. And that thought stopped me. Now it's no excuse. At the end of the day, I asked someone to trust in me to accomplish something, and I didn't follow through at all. So I think that's the inherent dishonesty. And I think when I've told people, that I believe that I can do this, I believe I can make films, you know, in a way I was asking something of them. I was asking that they would trust me. I was asking that they would believe that I could do something like that. And it's just painful for me to keep on doing that. I don't want to keep on doing that. So I'm quitting my job. I quit my job. And I'm quitting my dream. And that's all I'm going to say in this video.